Juan Soto kidding me? This early in the season, this early in his Mets tenure, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is a bad play by Juan Soto. Does Juan Soto realize, number one, his team is winning, and number two, the guy behind him, who he's basically side-dissing as he props up Aaron Judge, is an early MVP candidate? Hey, Juan, I got news for you, buddy. I don't want to hear it. I'm not interested in a word from Juan Soto about the Yankees. I remember this. And listen, the callers called up, Yankee this, Met that. And I remember saying, hey, listen, I said this a week ago. Get over it, Yankee fans. Stop whining. Well, now I'm telling Juan Soto to get over it. I don't want to hear about the Yankees or Aaron Judge or the stadium or the American League. You're a Met. You had a lot of time to decide what you were going to do and which way you wanted to go. And you went a pretty good way. Now you left Aaron Judge. Live with it. Quit crying.
Yes,
quit whining.
I'm torn on it because I don't think it reads well. But I wasn't there to hear the question that Puma asked. And if it was specific to, how do you feel? Is it different not having Judge behind you? And Soto says, yeah, it is different. I had the best hitter in baseball behind me. That is factually correct. However, I don't think any Met fan wants to hear that. But the other part of me knows that he's just being honest. And guess what? It's not changing. Now, what I don't like is Soto's body language. If he's not doing the shuffle or he's not feeling himself. And if that is because he feels like he made a mistake in taking the most money. If that's the issue, now we've got a major problem.
You think he feels that early?
I have no idea, BT. I can't explain it. I don't want to. I'm tired of hearing about he misses the Yankees. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of hearing about, I had the best hitter. Dude, you left. If I'm Steve Cohen.
He wasn't traded to the Mets.
Correct. If I'm Steve Cohen or anybody else in the Mets organization, I will, enough of kissing his ass here. He's not, nobody is bulletproof, and nobody has kissed his ass more than I have. Enough is enough. You're getting paid $765 million. I don't want to hear about, I haven't had as many good pitches to hit as I had with Judge. Pete Alonso right now has better numbers than Aaron Judge, so that should not be an excuse. And you want to say they're not attacking you the same way? Whatever, Juan. Put up the big numbers that you're supposed to put up. Put up the numbers and run with runners in scoring position. But the point is, if I'm Cohen or somebody in the organization, I go to him and be like, look, stop talking about the Yankees. It's over. Mm-hmm. You're here. You chose it. You chose it for a reason. Remember that. Sack up. Go out there and play the game that you paid to play.
I could very easily, and I didn't want to do it. I'm not quite doing this. I could have easily latched onto the whole buyer's remorse thing, and, he thinks in his own mind he made the wrong decision. I'm going to grant him a little bit of room to figure things out, 15, 20 games into the season. But I got news for you here. You're right. If I'm a Met fan, I'm tired of it already. If I'm Steve Cohen, where I made it basically every concession that the Yankees didn't make, which enabled Juan Soto to go to the Mets. He basically jumped through hoops and lit himself on fire for Juan Soto to come to Queens to lead the Bronx here. And here we are this early, and he's elaborating on what it's like with Alonso versus Judge. And I got to be honest, Sal, I don't care how he was asked the question. I don't care how it was framed. You've got to know. Now, maybe this is his transition to New York media sensibility. Well, you better have a truncated learning curve, buddy, because it's only going to get worse. The way you answer that question is, hey, Alonso's banging. I've missed up. I've missed a few times. I could have barreled up a baseball where I got a chance. I've had a chance to do some damage. I'm not quite in the flow. I've been a hitter my whole life. I can't wait to get going. We're really good, and I haven't really gotten going yet. You don't feed into the Judge stuff. Now, here's the other thing. I think if Pete was hitting 120 and he came out and said this, it would be even worse. But even though Pete's an early MVP candidate, it is still there is nobody that can tell me that Pete doesn't see those words and even isn't remotely hurt. But that's secondary. Soto, play ball, shut up about the Yankees.
I don't think Soto meant to do any harm with these comments, and I respect him for being open and honest about it. I think he's a good kid. I think he's trying to adjust. However, he made this decision in the offseason knowing, and it wasn't even any time in my life that I made money the primary decision, it has been the wrong decision. So if it were just based off the money, if I were advising Soto and it were just based off the money, I'd say, if you were happy here and you're comfortable with Judge in the lineup, then forget whatever you think about most money. It wasn't even really that. It was a $5 million difference.
I know.
Okay, 16 years, 15 years. What's the difference? So if you really love being a Yankee and you really valued having Aaron Judge behind you, then you should have stayed there. So to me, it's more than that. He left for something other than the money. So then why are you worried about Soto behind you? And the other part of it is you're paid $765 million, big boy, not because of who was behind you. You were Juan Soto long before Aaron Judge. Why are we focused on who's hitting behind him?
I don't know. I don't know, really. I saw this, and we were texting about this, and because we actually thought, we didn't think that we would see this early in the season, so I think we were all kind of surprised. Like, hey, listen, it could be worse. The Mets could be losing. Soto could be hitting 170. Pete could be bombing. I mean, there could be so many different storylines around the Mets. Right now, everything's favorable. The Mets are winning. I know they played some weaker teams, but Toronto's a good hitting team. They did well against them. The Mets are cranking out wins. They're putting themselves early in a position to have an incredibly meaningful season, maybe win the division. The Braves look like they're a mess, though they're getting a little bit better. You know, the Phillies are good. I mean, but the Mets right now, there's a good energy, a good vibe. And I don't know that this completely intercepts the good vibe, but it's an unnecessary statement. And I just think that if I am talking to Juan Soto, if I'm in Juan Soto's camp, I come up and say, listen, Juan, we got to be better than this. What you said wasn't offensive. It wasn't, really even out of pocket. But you are in New York now. You cannot throw out a quote and think it's going to be benign like it was in D.C. or with the San Diego Padres. It's a different monster here. He's got to learn that quick.
Maybe the bigger issue that I have with the quote, I'm not going to rip him for it, and I understand that people are going to do it, but maybe the bigger issue that I have is, does he really believe this? And if he really does believe this, then it's not only an indictment on his decision-making, but also then him as a player. Is Juan Soto, and we know it has been reported how much he was lobbying for the Mets to get protection in that lineup behind him.
Yeah.
But what does that say then about the player who got the richest contract in the history of sports? One of the reasons why I love Juan Soto is because I talk about his toughness, mental toughness, not intimidated by any moment, any pressure, all that stuff. But yet he's worried about who's hitting behind him. He says the right things as far as, look, I'm going to look to do damage, and if it's not there, I'm going to pass the baton, and that's what everybody else should do. So I respect that part of it. I'm not getting on him for not expanding the zone or not doing enough damage. And by the way, prior to the home run last night, he pops out. I'm thinking, I reached the point last night where it's like, enough, dude, enough. Average all of a sudden goes from 280, 250, 230.
I almost dropped a Soto tweet last night. Then he went yard. I'm like,
same thing.
I was 5 minutes away from doing it.
And if we were thinking that, we certainly were not alone.
No.
So, but when he failed the time before, I mean, again, with runners in scoring position coming up left and right, it's like, all right, dude, break out, get a bait. No, fail. And it can't just be because nobody's attacking him or you're not getting any good pitches.
That's an excuse.
Of course. And that's something that I thought Soto was above.
Yeah.
That's why I'm disappointed with this, because those comments, while they could be taken disrespectfully toward Alonso, while it could be hurtful, Yankee-Met thing, to me, it was lacking accountability and making excuses where I thought Juan Soto was above that.
Well, it's one thing to pass the baton and remain in your process in terms of not expanding the zone and being the on-base machine that you've always been. It's another thing to, pass the baton to somebody in terms of maybe blame. I mean, this just comes across as... It comes across as certainly a little misguided, a little petty, very much missing the mark of what New York media is all about. And, now it creates a very interesting early tone around Juan Soto where we should still be celebrating him. And listen, the celebrations will come. He's a terrific player. Mets are playing good ball. But he should be lauded this first couple of weeks as a Met. Instead, we got the first little teeny tiny controversy. It's interesting.
BT and Sal on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. John is in St. Louis. What's up, John?
Hey, what's up, boys? Awesome open, as always. I don't think it was... I think Juan Soto was asked a very X's and O's question, and the framing of the article made it seem emotional.
Right.
I mean, the guy was dead honest and gave a legitimate statistical answer. Hey, I had the best hitter in baseball. No lie there. Alonso's playing out of his mind, but he's no Aaron Judge. Pitching behind me. Last season, they're pitching me different. This season, they're pitching me this way, so I got to adjust. I think emotion was put into it by... I can't remember who asked the question, but I don't think there's anything to walk into. I mean, Freddie Freeman went on a cross-country sympathy tour, for Christ's sake, when he left the break. I don't think this is it at all. I think we're reading way too much into a guy who's in a mild slump and the framing of the rest of the article with that question. as a diehard former season ticket holder before I left, Juan Soto could do no wrong until this show's over a whole season. So I think this is just getting blown out of proportion for who it is.
Interesting and fair enough, okay? And we're not trying to create a controversy here, but these comments definitely missed the mark. In my mind, there is no doubt that this was a miscalculation on the part of Juan Soto. So and John, I hear you, and I think that that's a pretty conservative approach. I think it's fair to Juan Soto. But now what I'm going to say to Juan Soto is very simple. Don't trip up again in the next couple of weeks. Like, don't compound this. Don't go into 2 for 19 funk. Don't say anything else that's a little, could be a little misinterpreted. Even though I don't think there's any misinterpretation here, I just think it was dumb for him to say it and stupid and foolish for him to say it. Maybe you walk it back with Pete around the batting cage today. Had to mean it that way. You know how it is. And I'm sure Pete will extend the hand and be fine with this. But now there's a few, and I'm not a Met fan, so don't count me, but I'm sure there's a few Met fans who are looking at him saying, even if it's misguided, you really want to be here? You really miss Aaron that much?
I think 1,000% that's the case because this is not a one-time thing. I'm more in line with the caller, and it was Mike Puma of The Post who got that exclusive from yesterday. So that's who was asking the questions. I'm sure they're sensationalizing it, and I read the whole column. I paid for the subscription just to make sure.
But they sucked you in for this article?
We should have it anyway, so whatever it is.
Come on,
$5 a month. I did. I wanted to make sure I had all the quotes because I'm like, but this is not the first time Andy Martino of SNY mentioned the Soto's missing the Yankees a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's human nature, right? Naturally, I didn't want to make a big deal of it, but there's already a sensitivity to this because of the Yankee-Met dynamic.
Yeah.
This is, first of all, it's new territory that we stumbled upon here with a prime Yankee leaving the Yankees to go to the Mets for a bigger contract, whatever it may be. So that never happens before. And there's already a sensitivity. The Yankee fans are hurt because he left them, and Met fans are like, okay, does he really want to be here? And the more that the missing stuff comes out, the more that I had the best hitter in baseball behind me, the more I feel like saying, well, then you should have stayed there, knucklehead. That's what it makes me really want to say. Well, then you should have stayed there. What'd you think was going to happen? You left. Aaron Judge was a Yankee. You chose to be with the Mets. So suck it up and deal with it. Now, he's a young kid, a nice kid, and I really don't think that he meant to do harm by these comments, which is why I'm not going nuts about it. But I'll tell you already, I'm tired of hearing about it. The Met-Yankee thing.
No, listen, dude. He's put himself in a position where the tone has shifted a tick. And I'm stunned. And 3 weeks into the season.
And on top of that, and maybe this is the worst thing, he is not producing. So he's gotten the pass. If this were anybody else, Jason Bay, Carlos Beltran, Mike Piazza, I don't care if it's 15 games. Yeah, I don't care if it's 15 games or not. Lindor, I don't care if it was 15 games or not. People be getting on him. Two things are happening. Number one, the Mets are winning. Number two, it's Soto, so everybody trusts that he's going to come out of it.
Yep.
Otherwise, it would be ugly here. But now this on top of that.
Got a couple of quotes for you here. Good job with this off. So, all right, quote, I would say I'm getting a decent amount of strikes, but there's some specific situation where pitchers don't attack, said Soto. I feel like I'm trying to do the same, do the damage when I can, whenever they want me to, want to attack me. I take my chances, and when they don't, I take my walk. I'm not trying to be selfish or anything, and I try to hit home and try to hit home runs every time. I'm just trying to pass the baton and take my swings whenever I can, pass that baton to my teammates. Everybody has a role, and I feel as a team we've got to attack pitchers as a team. Well, the guy behind you is. Maybe you should start. He goes on to say, we don't have to attack the pitchers as individuals. If they don't want to pitch to me, I should just pass it along to Pete, let him do his thing. And if they don't want to pitch to him, then he should do the same thing. So that's more of a philosophy. Again, fairly benign. This is where I'm going to be fair to the situation.
That's what I'm saying. If you read
I don't think that there was malice. I do want to be fair to Pete, but do not misinterpret what I'm saying. Don't do this again, because now now the ears are perking up. Oh, is Pete happy? Or maybe more specifically, is Pete unhappy? And now those whispers and those murmurs could become full-fledged, dialogue where you've got a bit of an issue here, and people wondering out loud, does Juan Soto even want to be a Met?
When he's talking about there are specific situations where pitchers don't attack, he's making an excuse for himself with runners in scoring position.
I agree with that. I don't want to hear it.
Me neither. That's
Aaron
the bottom
Judge hit
line.
160 in April last year. You got your ribbies.
Now, the reason why I said that I'd be curious what the question was, because I do think that Puma was trying to get this exact thing from him. Good on him. It's from the Post, New York Post. We're talking about it. That's exactly what you want. The first quote from Soto was, "It's definitely different." So what was the question that led him to say it was definitely different? I had the best hitter in baseball hitting behind me. That's not... It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's not a knock on anybody. I'm sure he was asked a question that led him to saying, yeah, it's different from what it was last year. I got the best hitter in baseball hitting me behind me last year, and I was getting attacked more with pitches in the strike zone. Less intentional walks, although he's only 2 intentional walks. He's tied for third in baseball entering yesterday.
With the intentional walks?
Yeah, or with the walks in general.
With
14,
the walks.
14 walks, tied for third in baseball entering yesterday.
I mean, listen.
2 of those were intentional.
Gotcha. I mean, this is the beautiful thing from just looking at Juan Soto. I mean, he's not atrocious to start his Mets tenure, but he is a very borderline great with certain things hitter. And when you have that contract and you don't put up the numbers immediately, there's going to be some whispers. And, you and I have talked around it and about it a little bit. We haven't gone full throttle because we know it's early. We don't be irresponsible.
And we trust him
100%. We do, yeah. Because it's not like when Beltran got here and he hit 16 home runs as a Met his first year. And I remember talking about this elsewhere, and I know you did too. Like the fair question, it wasn't out of bounds to say, hey, maybe New York ain't for Beltran, man.
Correct.
Whereas we just know, based on what he did not only with the Yankees, but also in the World Series and before that, we know that there will be zero transition to New York.
Bingo.
For Juan Soto.
I think that's the biggest key so far, and the fact that the Mets are winning. Charles is in Allenhurst, New Jersey. What's up, Charles?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good.
What's going on, buddy?
All right. So I saw this last night. To be honest, it doesn't bother me, and you don't get the vibe from the clubhouse that this is like affecting anybody. And I'm not saying you guys are saying that it is, but I'm not sitting here saying, Juan Soto was like having regrets about his decision to become a Met, because, I mean, it's the truth. Aaron Judge is the best player in the game. There's a natural thing that's going to happen when you're not hitting in front of him. You're not going to get the same pitches to hit. The pitchers are going to look at you differently. Now he's the Aaron Judge in the lineup, so they're going to attack him with that same way they went after Judge. Now, Judge obviously still hit the way he did last year. And you guys brought up another thing.
Yeah, but Charles, respectfully, one sec, buddy. So if he played with Aaron Judge for the first 7 years of his career, this would hold a little more weight with me. I mean, he was with him for one season.
Yeah, I know, but he's still, like, it's definitely an adjustment period. I mean, for a fact that he put up the home run numbers that he did last year. He never did that in his career. So he's clearly going to have an adjustment.
He's hit 35. He's hit 35 before. He's hit over 30 multiple times.
Dude. Yeah. I'm not saying he didn't hit for power. He never hit to that level of power. And I'm saying that I wouldn't be concerned about this. It's early in the year. The weather, he's adjusting to probably pressing a little bit.
We're not concerned about his stats. We're concerned about his mindset a little bit. Big difference.
Okay, so I just said he's pressing a little bit. But another thing you guys said is that he maybe misses Aaron Judge. He didn't speak to Aaron Judge the entire offseason. The guy said he didn't have his phone number. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. They didn't even talk.
Charles, he said...
They didn't even talk. They didn't even talk.
I understand that. I'm just saying the report was... This was reported, and thank you for the call. Good stuff there, Charles. Soto said he missed the Yankees. Now, I didn't make a big deal of it. I don't want to hear it. Met fans don't want to hear it. We're sensitive to that. But it was reported that he said, I missed those guys over there. That's, to me, was human nature, not a big deal. But that, on top of this, is now 2 strikes.
And it's very early into his Mets tenure to have 2 strikes like that.
That's the point.
It's a bad look.
You left. Move on. Now, he's going to keep getting asked about it. See,
he dumped the Yankees. The Yankees didn't dump him.
Right.
So he needs to stop talking about the girl that he dumped. Move on.
Bingo. And even if it were the other way around, nobody would want to hear it.
True, too. But even more so now. You made the decision.
And also, just go out there and produce. Now, to be fair to him, I just want to be clear on this. To be fair to him, he was asked whatever question he was asked that led to this. It wasn't like he was going out there seeking it. The other part, like I said before, BT, just to rehash it, I don't think... They mentioned it on the broadcast last night. We talked about it on Friday. Is he pressing a little bit? He hasn't looked. Remember you and I got into it a little bit saying where the head nod after he struck out?
Yeah, I'm like, who the hell are you, dude? You're not at 370 hitting. You're going to make some outs. Just keep walking.
And I loved it. I love that attitude, that shuffle, that swag. That's what makes Soto special. That has not been on display really in the last week, 2 weeks, whatever you want to say. They brought it up on the broadcast last night. So if those things, if his body language, his numbers aren't what they were, okay, 15-game sample says, sure, but the numbers aren't what they are. His body language isn't what it was. There has been a report about him missing the Yankees, and now this report about him saying how it's different because he doesn't have the best hitter in baseball behind him. While it might be factual, you can understand how a Met fan might be a little upset.
You got Brian Cashman on line one. Ben Rice for Soto straight up. You good? We'll make that trade or what? You good? I don't want
I was thinking of it last night, and we'll get more into this. The value the Yankees have gotten from their offense is the same value the Mets have gotten from their rotation. It's complete opposite. All right, BT and Sal on the Fan. More your calls when we come back. 888-808-1019.